Hello everyone, it's Faris, and in this video I'm going to give you a full update on the tropics, a big tornado threat for the Midwest, and more in this video. So let's get right into it. So currently I have the alerts pulled up, heat advisories down here in the deep south, some dense fog advisories over here in the Pacific Northwest and in Maine, heat advisories into Florida as well as some flood warnings in the Carolinas and Virginia, and then some flood watches in North Dakota and Missouri. So those are your alerts, relatively quiet. Speaking, getting into the severe threat, today we do have a tornadic threat, 5% right in the heart of kind of like Nebraska, Iowa, areas of Kansas and Missouri. 5%, so definitely want to watch out. Could see a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch coming out soon. Wind is 15% for those same areas, and hail is a 15% hatched risk, so a pretty big chance for some bigger hail as well, especially in areas of Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and Kansas, the areas mentioned before. The day 2 outlook, slight risk expands and actually moves east, including almost the whole state of Illinois and almost the whole state of Missouri. Wide 2% risk for tornadoes, so brief spin ups possible. Wind is a 15% and hail is also a 15%, so another pretty active day. Now, lastly, the day 3 continues to progress east. For now, it's a marginal. I don't know, it might be upgraded later on, but for now, just a marginal threat. Wind and hail are definitely possible threats. We'll see if any tornado threat gets issued. And then taking a look at the day 4 through 8, days 4 through 8, don't see anything in the way for now. Gonna get into the tropics now. We currently have Tropical Storm Ernesto. Actually, Hurricane Ernesto. Sorry about that. Hurricane Ernesto. Right here. Kinda, here, let me get a better marker. I can't find that perfect marker. Oh, blue. Okay, blue will work. Blue will work. So, Ernesto's somewhere right in here. And what it's currently moving kind of northwest is somewhere like kind of like that, and eventually it's going to start moving more north and even maybe northeast a little bit. Ernesto has been causing some very heavy rains and thunderstorm activity, especially for the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and some activity trying to get into eastern portions of the Dominican Republic. The Leeward Islands and Lesser Antilles were also affected by this storm. Thankfully, Ernesto is moving out, though it is strengthening, and there is a couple more land masses it could be affecting, such as Bermuda and portions of Atlantic Canada, such as Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. So I'm going to take a look at that in a bit as well. But again, taking a look at the storm, very healthy outflow, breathing perfectly. This is a hurricane. Some pretty big convective cloud tops continue to fire, especially in some of the outer bands and right near the center. So overall, very healthy conditions. There is some dry air, a little bit of dry air trying to get in. As you can see, there's lots of convection on the east side, but not so much on the west side. So I mean, there is a little bit of dry air affecting and a tiny bit of shear, but overall, it's in some favorable environment, especially with the ocean heat content and that warm ocean we got in the Northern Caribbean. So here is the experimental cone. 11 a.m. located just north of Puerto Rico, just northeast of Puerto Rico, and again moves north and northwest. Then it kind of turns northeast and gets really close past the Bermuda. I'll highlight Bermuda in this pink. That's Bermuda right there, and it passes just to the east before heading up here. Now, it could get into Newfoundland, or it could also, some ensembles have it into Nova Scotia, mainly the eastern part. So we'll have to see what happens after that. So, tropical storm warnings continue for Puerto Rico. Hurricane watch is likely to go up for Bermuda, and we'll see if anything goes up for the landmasses in Atlantic Canada later on. There's also a little island over here up north. Ernesto is expected to become a major hurricane by 8 a.m. Friday. So 8 a.m. Friday, expecting around a Cat 3 hurricane just south of Bermuda before weakening down as it passes Bermuda, thankfully. However, it's still going to be some pretty big impacts, so lots of stuff to watch out for. Getting into the modeling, here we have it right now. We can take it out with the GFS. I did have actual, like, a pretty complex update yesterday with my yesterday video. Here, I'm just trying to deliver it quicker and more brief. So hopefully sounds good to you guys. But definitely a good site to go on is tropicaltidbits.com. Gives you all the forecasts, strength forecasts, where it's going to go, etc. So very good website. Anyways, getting into it, we have Ernesto. There it is, strengthening as it heads northwest and eventually north-northeast as it curls back, approaching Bermuda. Ernesto does actually get pretty large, and that's what's going to cause some pretty big swells and waves along the eastern seaboard of the U.S. So I'm going to show you guys that in a bit. Ernesto strengthens all the way actually up to 963, so around Cat 3 before heading up north. GFS actually has Ernesto passing to the east. Okay, so yeah, most of the modeling actually had it passing to the west, but GFS has it passing to the east. Sorry, I might have said passing to the east when I actually meant passing to the west. But anyways, GFS has it passing to the east. Ensemble Guidance mainly has it passing to the west in terms of consensus. But either way, it makes a very close approach to Bermuda, and there will be some direct impacts as it passes in very, very close, within like 50 miles or so of Bermuda. We can move this up north into areas of Atlantic Canada, if I can find that. We'll take it up into Atlantic Canada. Where is it? Right here, Southeast Canada. So there it is, and you see GFS in this case does get it swung out with a trough. A trough comes in and sweeps it away. However, if that trough digs and is a little more, you could say, slower-ish, then Ernesto could actually connect with it, and if it's closer to Ernesto, it could connect with it and actually get retrograded back west. So we'll have to watch out for that. Sometimes it can go back into Newfoundland. If we had it here, it could go back into Nova Scotia. So something to watch out for. But either way, it does get pretty close. So we could actually still see some precip, given Ernesto is actually kind of a bigger storm. But as it heads north, it then becomes eventually extra tropical. Now let's head back to the Western Atlantic. We'll take a look. Actually, let's go to the Eastern U.S. Taking a look at wave heights. So let's back this all the way up to right around here. So overall, Ernesto down there, let's move this forward a little. There's your size of Ernesto. Like, Ernesto relatively is probably right in here, but the waves do extend kind of far, and you can already see some higher waves on the Carolinas and Georgia as Ernesto passes well to the east. And you see it gets really big. I mean, you do have Bermuda. Bermuda's right there, expecting up to 25-foot swells, which is very, very, very high. And it continues to strengthen as it continues to get high, peaking around arguably 45 feet, which is pretty big. As for the eastern seaboard, peaks up to 10 feet are not out of the question. And eventually, as it passes Newfoundland and Nova Scotia, you can expect waves. Oh, I don't know if they have it over here. Okay, they don't. But, I mean, here, we can go back to the eastern seaboard. You do see that waves could easily be, for at least Nova Scotia, you could see waves could easily exceed 15 or if not 20 feet, and maybe even more for Newfoundland as GFS brings it there. So those are some of the impacts. Take a look at some conditions. So sea surface temperatures are relatively warm. I'm going to give you guys some visualization. I think there's some areas where I can take a look. Okay, so overall, this isn't the most accurate way to look at it, but overall, as it passes kind of north of here, it gets much cooler. So it could start becoming extra tropical once it passes kind of the 40-degree north line. It could definitely start becoming extra tropical. So that would be somewhere like around there once Ernesto gets up here. But until then, very warm conditions. Not a lot of shear, a little bit it'll have to deal with. But honestly, the main thing you'll have to deal with is probably dry air. We can get on to this hour and bring it up. And there you have it. Now, it does have pretty good moist bubble, but what I'm saying is, like, take a look at the east side. You have much more moisture and storm activity, while the west side has much more dry air and less activity. And there you see, you can even see it right here. This dry air kind of circulating in here, kind of tries to. The dry air gets caught up in the circulation of Ernesto, the counterclockwise circulation. So that tells me that the dry air is also really trying to get in. So that's something we're gonna also have to watch out for as it heads north, as it could limit the strengthening, and cause it to peak at the major hurricane and then start weakening as it passes Bermuda. So that's Ernesto. Taking a look at the future of the tropics. Let's see if we got any update. All right. So this is the week 2, August 21st to 27th. So kind of late August. You can see up here, let's take a better pen, black pen. You see up here that we have up to 40% chance of tropical cyclone formation probability, generally heading in this kind of direction, and then it could go anywhere after that. And then you see that in the week 3, August 28th to September 3rd, so very late into early September, you got almost 60%, so an even higher increasing chance as Ernesto continues to head in this general direction and could be threatening the Gulf Coast, especially, as well as the eastern seaboard. So, definitely gonna get very active in the tropics. The eastern Pacific will also actually warm up. We'll take a look at the eastern Pacific in the coming days, but the eastern Pacific will likely start up with some activity as well, but honestly going to continue to die out as the rising air in the MJO supports more of an Atlantic favorability, especially since we have a La Nina developing. Lastly, getting into the forecast for the U.S., above average temperatures for the west and south U.S., above for the northeast, and below for the midwestern areas of the mid-Atlantic, and below average for the kind of like California and Oregon areas, all the way to the west. And then the 6 to 10 day, again, precipitation outlook above for the northeast and mid-Atlantic, overall the eastern seaboard with the threat of tropical cyclones, and below average for south U.S. and getting into the Midwest, and above average for the western and northwestern and around the north central U.S. So overall, just going to go out to 6 to 10 days. Another good site to check is the Climate Prediction Center that tells you precipitation and temperature forecasts to come for the nationwide U.S. And you can also see Alaska, obviously, over here with above average temperatures, Hawaii near normal, and then temperature-wise below average for the western areas of Alaska, above for the eastern areas, and above for Hawaii. So, there's your full update. Timestamps will be below. Please subscribe, and I did kind of tease it out. I might be having a fall outlook, a very early fall outlook and winter outlook in one of the coming videos. So, yeah, that's all really for today's video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. See ya.